Hey Eagles fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome into the Eagles Report, and today, Alshon Jeffery wants a trade. Potentially, we're going to give you 3 teams the Eagles should go ahead and trade Alshon to. Also talk about value and more. Before we start though, if you guys think we should get a new receiver, let go of Alshon Jeffery, get a new one, smash that like button and also subscribe. We're so close to 5,000 subscribers. Hit the subscribe button, notification bell, the way you're notified whenever we drop new Eagle videos here on the Eagles Report. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, so multiple reports coming out of both ESPN, Bleeding Green Nation, CBS Sports, like all the major networks have this one. Alshon Jeffery is, quote, open to a trade from our Philadelphia Eagles. Listen, this comes from The Athletic as well. They're the ones that are saying the Eagles are now shopping Alshon Jeffery, trying to get him moved as quickly as possible. That way, when the new league year hits, the Eagles have a little bit more cap space, a little bit more free money to go ahead and spend on some free agents, maybe a wide receiver. So, how do we get here? Got to go all the way back to not just 2 years, or not just this year, but 2 years ago as well, as Alshon Jeffery, each of the last 2 years, has reportedly been one of the anonymous players to criticize quarterback Carson Wentz. Remember earlier this year, there was a source saying there's someone in the organization, someone in the locker room who's criticizing Wentz. Howard Eskin from 94 WIP, the sideline reporter for the Eagles, said it was Alshon Jeffery, and then ESPN's Jeudy Anderson said it was not Alshon Jeffery and that it was not Nelson Agholor. So, a little bit of back and forth there. Well, in the Athletic story, they mentioned that they are pretty confident that it was Alshon Jeffery who was criticizing Carson Wentz. So, if that is true, then obviously that is a big reason why Philadelphia wants to let go of Alshon Jeffery. He's also been injured, right? He had the Liz Frank injury in mid-December. Basically kept him out of the entire second half of the 2019 season. He's not been fully healthy. He hasn't played 16 games since like 2014. So at 30 years old, an aging wide receiver, getting a lot of money this year, it would make sense for the Eagles, not just from a criticism standpoint of Carson Wentz, just from a team being smart of going in the future standpoint to let go of Alshon Jeffery as well. Now, I know a lot of you guys have commented on videos saying we can't trade Alshon Jeffery because of the injury. Alshon Jeffery can't leave because of the injury. Well, once he's healthy, you can trade him. And as long as he passes a physical with the other team, he is able to be traded. And I think I've heard that the Liz Frank injury is healing on time and that he could be totally good to go next season, aka good to be traded this offseason. There are still some snags the Eagles might have to work around, but right now it looks like he's basically good to go in terms of trading him. Here's the big problem. You have to essentially trade him because cutting him is not going to work. So if you cut him before this new CBA is signed, and the owners are trying to make this new CBA happen, the players might delay it till next March. If they delay it and there's no new CBA, the Eagles cannot cut him without having $26 million in dead money. Like basically losing out on $26 million, the most ever for a dead money cut cap hit in NFL history, according to the Athletic. So if there's no new CBA, you have got to trade him because cutting him is just not going to cut it. Now, if there is a new CBA, and the owners approved it, but of course the Players Union has not officially declared, they're voting on it next week, I believe, and they're probably going to vote against it. So if we get a new CBA before June 1, then you could cut him after June 1, and it'd only be $16 million in dead money. So that's $10 million that are more available to you during free agency. But basically what we're saying is that cutting him is not going to work. You'd have to find a trade partner for him because Alshon is too expensive to just kind of let him walk and push his money underneath the table. The Eagles have a lot of money in free agency, almost $50 million. We don't want to take, 10, 15, 20, 26 million of that and give it to Alshon Jeffery, who's not even playing on this football team. Just is not a smart move and doesn't make a lot of sense. So a trade is what the Eagles are going to have to do. So the question is, what are some teams that could be trading for Alshon Jeffery? Let's start with the New York Jets. They're the ones who reportedly are the most interested in Alshon Jeffery. They're probably going to lose Robby Anderson this year in free agency. Philadelphia might hopefully go ahead and get him in free agency. They need weapons for Sam Darnold, and they have a ton of cap space, $11 million in cap, or sorry, not 11 million, sorry, they're 11th most in terms of cap space. Total cap space, they're 11th most. They have a ton of money to go ahead and make this move, and they have some draft capital as well. So it makes sense, in my opinion, to go ahead and trade with the New York Jets. You trade him out of the NFC, out of the division. You send him all the way over to the AFC East, and he goes and has fun with Sam Darnold. Probably plays well for the New York Jets. It's probably a good piece for for a young quarterback with an aging wide receiver in Sam Darnold. I think it would make a lot of sense to go ahead and trade him to the New York Jets. Next, how about the New England Patriots, right? Think about this. They need weapons if they want to go ahead and get Brady back. This could be one. They could go ahead and show Tom Brady, hey, we went and got you a nice weapon here. And Brady's like, oh, okay, well, go ahead and re-sign. They have Edelman, they have Sanu, but pairing him with Edelman and Sanu makes him all the more dangerous. A wide receiver that, again, not like Jeffrey's a scrub. When he's healthy, he's been one of the better wide receivers in the NFL and is surely a number 1 wide receiver. He just can't stay healthy. So go join the Patriots, do the Patriot way, and make a lot of sense for New England. They have the capital to do it as well, and it's technically easier than getting in a bidding war for A.J. Green. Because you're thinking about it, you're like, Brady wants an established veteran. Who else is out there? Oh, well, A.J. Green's out there. Well, A.J. Green is also 2 years older, coming off of a worse injury, and you'd have to go ahead and bidding war sign him away from whether it's the 49ers or Philadelphia or another team, whereas right now you can just go ahead and trade for Alshon Jeffery, which is not going to cost a lot. We'll talk about that in a second. It'll be kind of cheap, and then you're guaranteed to have him going forward on the remainder of his deal. New England, number 2 on this list. They make a lot of sense. And finally, 4th most cap space in the NFL this offseason is the Indianapolis Colts. They have a ton of free agent money. Why not Indianapolis? No real top receiver. They had some receiver I didn't even recognize looking at it as their number 1 receiver last year. Caught like 650 total yards in terms of catches. At T.Y. Hilton, you think, not that elite. He played in 14 games, had 511 yards. So they truly need a number 1 wide receiver. Whatever quarterback it's going to be, whether it's Jacoby Brissett, whether they draft somebody, trade for somebody like a Cam Newton, or they sign Jameis Winston, or whatever, they need weapons for him up there in Indy because they have a good running back in Marlon Mack, a great head coach, good offense coordinator, and a good defense. Like, they are quarterback and some weapons away, and Alshon Jeffery can make a lot of sense in terms of adding him to the picture here. And again, having the 4th most cap space is huge because Alshon's contract is not exactly cheap in terms of what you want to trade him for. Before we keep going, I'll talk about Alshon Jeffery's cost to go ahead and trade for him. If you're one of those teams, be sure to subscribe down below. We're so close to 5,000 subs. Trying to get there with your help, making us the fastest growing Eagles channel here on YouTube. A lot of haters out there, but we are the fastest growing one on YouTube. We're trying to give you guys the best content, the most content as possible here. The cost is going to be interesting. What would a team give up for Alshon Jeffery? Now, it's not going to be a 1 or a 2. Get that out of your head right now. No team is going to give a number 1 pick or a first-round pick or a second-round pick for an aging wide receiver coming off a Liz Frank injury. Could you get a 3 for him? Possibly. It's looking more like a 4 or a 5, so 4th and 5th round pick to go ahead and trade for Alshon Jeffery, so you're not going to get a lot in return. The Eagles are trying to do this for a couple of reasons, not just to get draft capital back. That's not reason number 1. Reason number 1 is the cap space, because you save a lot of money. Reason number 2 is that he's been criticizing, or probably, at least one of the reportedly, is one of the guys criticizing Carson Wentz. And number 3, they want to get younger, and they want to go ahead and explore a very deep wide receiver free agency and a very deep wide receiver draft. There could be as many as 15 wide receivers taken in the first 2 rounds. There could be as many as 20, according to ESPN's Tom McShay. There will be 5 for sure taken in the first round. You could see more because people want to go up and get their wide receivers. So if you're Philadelphia, you're looking at this whole situation. You're shopping him. The problem is that teams know that you can't cut him, and so they know that you have to trade him. So I would not be surprised if we shipped Alshon Jeffery for a bag of chips, like a 4th-round draft pick, a 5th-round draft pick. I'm appreciative of Alshon. He was a big part of us winning this Super Bowl. Caught that big touchdown pass early on in that game, the first touchdown for the Eagles and that deep ball from Nick Foles. He had a great career with us. I'm very grateful. One of the better receivers over the past couple of years, but can't stay healthy. And if you're criticizing the quarterback we just gave a ton of money to for the next 5 years, why would you want to stay on this team? He's apparently open to a trade, open to a fresh start. I think the Eagles should go ahead and grant him that trade because you can go and get a Henry Ruggs, a Jerry Jeudy, a Justin Jefferson, a Shanault from Colorado. You get a Denzel Mims later on from Baylor. You get Robby Anderson in free agency, Danny Amendola in free agency. Now, don't give me... Danny Amendola's fine. Don't freak out about Danny Amendola. He's not the only one we'd get, but he's one of the ones that you could get. Rashad Perryman, a lot of wide receivers in free agency in the NFL draft to me that make more sense overall, that are as good, if not better, that are younger, that are quicker, that are faster, that have better hands, because Alshon's catching has been a little off the past couple of years, and it's not going to come out and criticize our quarterback in Carson Wentz. So overall, I think takeaway is this. It's one of the next big dominoes to fall in the Eagles offseason. Now, again, the new league year doesn't start until March 18th, so we have enough money right now to prepare for free agency and hopefully sign some big guys without having to trade Alshon Jeffery. I think this is one of the bigger moves the Eagles must make this offseason in order to stay relevant, in order to stay elite in the National Football League. You take Jeffery off this team, you lose Nelson Aguilar, that basically leaves J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, who's a very similar blueprint to Alshon, just obviously not as good in terms of being big and catch radius and jump ball potential, not that fast. You have Deshaun Jackson coming off the injury in the abdominal area, so hopefully he's going to be okay. You have Greg Ward. After that, those are basically your top 3 wide receivers who are going to be going forward with the Eagles in 2020. So you get rid of both Jeffrey and Nelson Aguilar, who we talked about on this channel. You're going to have to go ahead and replace him. So if you lose Alshon, you lose Nelson. 2 to 3 wide receivers will be coming through these doors at Lincoln Financial Field, coming through into the Eagles locker room, hopefully, and preparing them for what should be a completely new-looking wide receiver core for Carson Wentz going into 2020. All right, before we go, subscribe. If you have not subscribed yet, go ahead. Let me just scroll down, click the red subscribe button, the notification bell. That way we can become the fastest growing Eagles channel here on YouTube, as we already are. And that way you're notified as well whenever we drop new videos. I'm going to have a 4-round mock draft, Eagles mock draft, coming up on Monday. So subscribe and stay tuned for that. I want to try and look through a draft simulator, see who I would take if the draft simulator is what would happen in the NFL draft, where the Eagles go at, first round, second round, third round, fourth round. So subscribe and stay tuned for that. Thumbs up the video as well. All the time we have for today for the Eagles Report, I'm Thomas Mott, signing off. Enjoy the rest of your day. Did you like that video? Thanks for watching, but why don't you click this video right here, because we did it just a couple of days ago, and guess what? It's about the Eagles too. Like that video? Why don't you subscribe right down here? That way you're notified whenever we release more videos here on the Eagles Report. It's the fastest growing Eagles channel here on YouTube. Video, subscribe, click them right now. Go ahead, click them.